Welcome to Brush and Beyond, where we see the world through the artist's eyes and learn to express our own worlds. My name is Cecilia, and today we're back with another art history video. Today's video is about Gustav Klimt, specifically his ornamental style. Did you know that more than 70 years ago, there was a big war that involved many countries around the world called World War II? During that time, over 70 million people lost their lives and many people were hurt. Not only that, lots of precious buildings, artworks, and traditions were lost and destroyed and could never be replaced. So why did World War II happen? Well, one big reason was because of a man named Adolf Hitler. Before the war, what Hitler liked most was painting. His biggest dream was to get into the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, study art, and become an artist. And you know what? Hitler was actually pretty good at drawing. But the school had very few spots, and there were so many talented artists at the time, so in the end, the Academy did not accept him. Here are two of his paintings. Here's the interesting part. Gustav Klimt was the president of the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts when Hitler applied. Klimt was famous for his golden, shiny, and very decorative paintings, like the Kiss and portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer. People from all over the world admired his art. Before Klimt became famous for his shiny golden paintings, he created many early artworks that looked very different. Back then, he mostly painted murals, portraits, and decorative designs. His paintings were detailed and realistic, showing careful attention to the people, buildings, and nature around him. In this painting, you can see Joseph, Klimt's piano teacher, sitting at the piano, looking serious and focused. Klimt paid a lot of attention to the details of the piano, Joseph's clothes, and the room around him. Everything looks very realistic, almost like a photograph. In this painting, titled Young Girl from 1894, you can see a young girl sitting quietly, looking a little shy and thoughtful. This was one of Klimt's earliest paintings. Klimt paid very close attention to her, paying attention to the details of her face, hair, and clothing. Even though this is from his early period, you can already notice his love for delicate patterns and soft colors, which later became a big part of his golden, famous, shiny style. Another portrait is the portrait of Helene Klimt from 1898. In this painting, he shows Helene, a young woman, in a very realistic way. You can see the details of her face, her hair, and her clothes, which look very lifelike. Compared to his later shiny golden works, this early painting is more simple and natural, but already shows his careful attention to people and their expressions. This other painting is called 17-year-old Emily Flogue from 1897. It shows Emily, a young girl, sitting calmly and looking thoughtful. Klimt painted her face, hair, and clothing with lots of care, making her look very lifelike. On the right, we can see the same portrait of Emily Flogue, but in 1902, 11 years later. By 1902, Klimt's style has started to change and become more decorative. In this later painting, you can see more patterns in her clothes and background, and the colors are richer and brighter. She looks more confident and grown-up, showing how both she and Klimt's styles have matured over the years. This comparison really helps us see how Klimt's early realistic style gradually moved toward the decorative, colorful style he became famous for later in his career. In 1862, Gustav Klimt was born in Vienna into a talented artistic family. The golden, shiny paintings that people admire today might have been inspired by his childhood experiences. As he grew up, he tried some imaginative ideas and bold, decorative styles, rebelling against the traditional academic art of the time, and became a part of a movement called Art Nouveau. So what is Art Nouveau? This decorative art movement started around 1890 in Europe and the United States. At that time in Vienna, there were many artists who were tired of the realistic painting styles that had dominated for hundreds of years. Gustav Klimt was one of these artists. He and others believed that art is everywhere, not just in paintings, but also in crafts. They thought that beautifully made objects and decorations were just as important as traditional art. Now let's take a look at some of Klimt's amazing artworks. First, let's look at Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer. Let me ask you a couple questions. What do you see in the painting? How does this painting make you feel? Why? What colors can you see? Look closely at the person, their clothes, and the background. There are all kinds of patterns. What shapes do you notice in these patterns? In this painting, you can see Adele sitting gracefully, wearing an elegant dress. Klimt paints her with beautiful patterns and delicate details, making her look both real and magical at the same time. You notice how much he loved fancy decorations and designs, which would later become a big part of his golden masterpieces. This painting was sold in June 2006 for an incredible $130 million, making it the most expensive painting ever sold at that time. The background of the painting is filled with gold and all kinds of golden patterns that form the elegant figure of a Deli. Klimt used repeating decorative patterns as well as geometric shapes like squares, circles, spirals, and triangles to make the painting feel flat and decorative. He even added real gold, silver, and jewels to the painting, making it shine like a city of golden armor. It is simply magical to look at. Now, let's continue to take a look at another amazing work by Klimt, The Kiss. Here are some questions to think about. How does this painting make you feel and why? What do you see in the painting? Look closely at the people, their clothes, and the backgrounds. Can you tell what shapes you see in these patterns? The Kiss was created between 1907 and 1908. It shows a couple on a cliff, kissing and embracing. The whole painting is golden, and Klimt even used very thin sheets of real gold and silver, so it's not just a painting, but also a precious treasure. The man's clothes are decorated with squares, rectangles, and soft vertical curves, giving him a strong masculine feeling. On the other hand, the woman's clothes have circles and floral patterns, making her look gentle and graceful. The man wears a crown of leaves, which is like an evergreen wreath, symbolizing eternal love. The ground is covered with colorful flowers, almost like a spring garden. The entire painting shines with golden brilliance, has a mysterious feeling, and shows strong, flat, decorative patterns. The Kiss has been a huge influence on later painting and poster designs, inspiring artists for generations with its dazzling beauty and magical decoration. Here we can see some more patterns that are common and created by Klimt for repeating lines and shapes. You can try replicating these on your own or creating some of your own from the everyday things that you see. Finally, here are some clothing designs that are heavily inspired by Klimt's paintings. Klimt has been an inspiration for not only the art world, but also the fashion world for so many years. This was me and my family visiting the Belvedere Museum at Upper Belvedere Palace in Vienna, Christmas of 2021. On the right, you can see Lady with a Fan, Klimt's final portrait that remained unfinished at the time of his death in 1918. It features a woman dressed in a Chinese robe holding a fan that partially conceals her chest, set against a vibrant yellow background adorned with oriental motifs such as crane, phoenix, and lotus blossoms. Finally, on the left, you can see The Kiss, the masterpiece that we talked about earlier. This artwork is a part of the Belvedere's permanent collection and is considered one of the most significant works of Austrian art from the earliest 20th century. If you ever get a chance to visit Vienna, I highly recommend visiting this museum. Thank you so much for watching today's video on Gustav Klimt. Make sure to come back and watch part 2, where we will introduce a short activity so you can create your own Klimt masterpiece.